Okay, folks, here's my explanation for why I only use the original 7 planets for some things in astrology. This is part of that video I did on the elements and how to access elemental energy through different planets in your chart. Um, the 7 visible planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and the 3 outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, are very, very different in the way they show up in the physical world around us and very different in the way they interact with our charts, the way they interact, the way they show up in our lives. The first main distinction, which is just so obvious, it's staggers me and stuns me that this is not more widely accepted. The 3 outer planets cannot be seen with the naked eye. You need a telescope. So therefore, they're representing forces outside of the physical realm. Everything in astrology is a metaphor. The planets are metaphors for the energies inside of us. The gods and goddesses of mythology, who have the same names as the planets, are metaphors for parts of us, what's going on inside of us. Everything in astrology is based on this way of looking at the world. And so if you can't even see the darn planet, that's got to tell you there's something different about it. You have to distinguish between the 3 that you can't see and the 7 that you can. So, having said that, I want to point out that astrologers are experts at cherry picking information to make whatever point they want to make. They're really crafty and tricky, and so you have to keep your eye on them. Astrologers need to be vetted as much as anybody. And if they're just pulling stuff out of thin air to make up a case, and like I said, they're experts at this, we are experts at this, um, you need to watch out, because astrologer's job is to read your chart, not to read their perspective into your chart. We all have biases as human beings, and the astrologer's main job is to put their biases aside, to check their biases at the door, to be very careful about allowing their biases to influence their reading of your chart. So that's critical. And if you don't have an astrologer that's able to check their biases, or at least let you know, I'm biased when I say the following thing, um, be warned. So here's another really cool illustration of the difference between the 7 and the 3. I'm using my printed graphic. I haven't figured out the fancy technology, but it's better this way anyhow. Anyway, this is my logo, and you see the zodiac traced around the outside. And on the inside, we have the planets. You see the moon, the moon is ruling Cancer. The sun is ruling Leo, right? Well, what's the first planet closest to the sun? Yes, that's right. It's Mercury. Well, if you go out from the sun, moon, from either direction, you see Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini. How about that? You go even one more sign around in either direction. The next planet after Mercury, Venus, rules Libra and Taurus. You go one more sign around in either direction, and you go one more planet further from the sun. Well, of course, we skip the Earth because you are the Earth. You're in the middle. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. You go one more planet. Jupiter rules the next 2 signs, Sagittarius and Pisces. You go to the last planet that you can see, and now you've gone full, or you're going halfway around the circle, as far as you can get from the sun and moon, and you have Saturn ruling Capricorn and Aquarius. If this doesn't make sense, it's only because you've been listening to modern astrologers who don't know what they're talking about. It makes perfect sense if you look at it and know what these glyphs, these astrological signs are all about. And so I'll be making more videos on that just to sort of illustrate, but I wanted to give you the basics. The 7 inner planets are influenced by the 3 outer planets in a different way. So I mentioned I call them spiritual amplifiers. What I say is where one of the 3 is connected with one of the 7, and I embody the 7. That's why I call this chakraology, because the 7 planets are representing the 7 chakras in the body. Wherever one of the 3 is touching one of those 7 shows where you are getting a strong connection to a spiritual dimension. So let's say your throat chakra, your Mercury, is getting conjuncted by Uranus, or squared by Uranus, or trine by Uranus, or opposed by Uranus. There's lots of different aspects. It tells me that your throat chakra, which includes not only speaking but thinking, your mind is turned up louder than average. You have a lot going on up there. If your moon is being aspected by one of those 3, your emotional nature is much more pronounced than average, and so on and so on. The spiritual amplifiers, that's what I call them. Maybe I'll make a whole video just on the spiritual amplifiers. That sounds good. So that'll be coming up soon. But for now, here you have why I distinguish between the 7 and the 3. I hope you like that, and we'll see you in the next one.